Records discovered in a forgotten courthouse vault in Richmond, Virginia during renovations in 1932 revealed something that disturbed local historians so profoundly that the documents were quietly resealed and marked as administratively insignificant. Between 1847 and 1851, plantation owners across 7 counties in central Virginia reported the same impossible occurrence. Slave children, some as young as 6, were being caught with written notes, crude journals, and in one case, a complete handwritten copy of passages from a book no slave should have even touched. 63 separate incidents were documented in the first year alone. Each child, when questioned separately and sometimes months apart, offered the same cryptic response about the night teacher. Every investigation led to dead ends. Every trail went cold. Authorities at the time concluded their reports with variations of the same phrase: source, unidentified, threat level, severe. What those plantation owners feared wasn't just literacy. It was the realization that someone had been moving through their properties for years, completely unseen, teaching what was forbidden under penalty of death. This person knew their routines, their blind spots, their vulnerabilities. He moved like smoke through their lands. And despite patrols, dogs, and increasingly desperate surveillance efforts, he remained invisible. The psychological impact on the planter class was profound. If their control was so absolute, how had this happened under their noses? If one man could do this, what else was happening that they couldn't see? Before we continue with the story of the man who became Virginia's most wanted ghost, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss stories like this. And leave a comment below telling us what state or city you're watching from. We love hearing from our community around the world. What makes this case particularly chilling is that it wasn't discovered through careful investigation or confession, but through the careless confidence of children who didn't yet understand the danger they were in. And when the truth finally emerged, it revealed a network of secret education so sophisticated and widespread that it challenged everything the plantation system believed about itself. Cumberland County, Virginia, in the autumn of 1847, was a landscape of contradictions. Rolling hills covered in tobacco fields stretched toward the James River, connecting over 40 plantations of varying sizes. The soil was rich, the harvests profitable, and the social order unshakable to those who benefited from it. The county had weathered Nat Turner's rebellion 16 years earlier without incident, tightening controls and surveillance. The landscape fostered false security. Forests of oak, pine, and hickory separated properties, rarely patrolled, while the James River carried goods, and abandoned mills dotted the banks like forgotten monuments. The Carver plantation along the northern boundary housed 73 enslaved people under Thomas Carver, a third-generation tobacco planter who prided himself on his library and meticulous records. His wife, Elizabeth, managed the household with efficiency. Among the enslaved was Ruth, an 8-year-old girl working in the main house. Small and observant, Ruth navigated her world carefully, sleeping in a cramped room and glimpsing the Carver boys' lessons from afar. It was late summer 1846 when Ruth's world changed. Sent to fetch butter from the spring house, she spotted a faint light in an old tobacco barn. Drawn by curiosity, she peered inside. A tall man with graying hair taught 3 children the letter A, drawing in the dirt. When he noticed her, he invited her in gently. "I'm Jacob," he said. "Do you want to learn?" Ruth nodded and joined, learning her first letter that night. Over weeks, Ruth returned secretly. Jacob taught irregularly, varying times and locations to avoid patterns. The group grew to 5 or 6, learning the alphabet, sounds, and words using dirt and charcoal. No books, too dangerous. For Ruth, it unlocked possibilities. Words were shapes to capture. On October 12, 1847, Ruth was dusting Carver's study when she read his open journal.
Elizabeth caught her, horror dawning. "Were you reading?" Ruth admitted, refusing to name her teacher. Thomas Carver tested her with a book. She read fluently. Shocked, he assembled 21 children aged 6 to 12. 7 could read or recognize letters, all describing the night teacher. Carver alerted neighbors. Reports flooded in. 16 children across properties, then 23. All told the same story, secret lessons in barns, mills, woods. The planters were terrified. How had one man evaded them? On October 19th, Carver convened 11 owners. Maps showed a pattern centered on the old Appomattox Mill Road. Suspicion fell on travelers, tradesmen, preachers. Samuel Porter mentioned his carpenter, Jacob, who traveled freely. "Can he read?" Carver asked. Porter, unsure, agreed to test him. Jacob's story began in 1805 on a Maryland Quaker farm. Taught to read by the Hadleys, he hid his skill after being sold south in 1827. Bought by Porter in 1830, Jacob's carpentry earned trust and mobility. Haunted by ignorance around him, he began teaching in 1845, starting with Hannah on the Whitley plantation. He used barns, varying routines, teaching in small groups with erasable materials.
By 1847, he taught over 60 children across 9 plantations. He instilled secrecy, even preparing advanced students to teach others. Risk grew, but Jacob pressed on, driven by the lie that ignorance protected. Ruth's discovery sparked chaos. Carver locked her. Tests revealed more. Planters offered $200 rewards, but silence held. Focus narrowed to craftsmen. Porter tested Jacob subtly with a note. Jacob feigned ignorance. Suspicious, they planned surveillance. On November 8, trackers followed Jacob to an old mill. 6 children arrived. He taught freedom. Caught emerging, Jacob surrendered. Held in Carver's shed, Jacob confessed to teaching 60 alone. Over 30 planters gathered November 9th. Carver detailed the breach. Debate raged, hang or sell. Porter suggested selling south to avoid martyrdom. Unanimous, sell Jacob to Louisiana, disperse children. Carver visited Jacob, questioning his risk. "I gave them something untouchable," Jacob said, "knowledge." Carver called it chaos. Jacob called the system cruel. "Those seeds will grow," Jacob warned. Jacob was sold November 15th, chained south. In Louisiana, he worked brutally, dying of cholera in 1852, unmarked. Children numbered 91, sold far. Ruth taught in Atlanta post-war. Hannah passed knowledge in Alabama. Samuel relearned in South Carolina. Not all thrived, some faded or died young, but knowledge persisted, uncontainable. Planters tightened security, but Carver noted in journals, contamination lingered in mines. By 1850, rumors of other teachers spread. War in 1861 collapsed the system. Literate workers aided Union forces. Documents, sealed in 1933 amid pressure, resurfaced in 1970. Patterson noted planters' fear. Oral traditions preserved fragments, night school whispers. Jacob succeeded because enslaved people were capable, defying denial. His story, documented resistance, echoes uncounted others. What do you think of this story? Do you believe everything was revealed? The documents exist, sealed and unsealed across decades. The names of children can be traced through census records and family trees. The plantation ledgers survive in archives. But the full truth of Jacob's motivations, his inner life, his hopes and fears, those are lost to history, knowable only through the actions he took and the legacy he left. Leave your comment below. If you enjoyed this tale and want more stories like this, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share with someone who loves dark mysteries. See you in the next.